Hello, it's another episode of Before You Say I Do series, and my name is Chris Carter. And if you are watching, this is Citi TV, and if you're listening, it's 97.3 Citi FM. All right, so the Before You Say I Do series obviously helps you navigate through the twists and turns of relationships before you actually get married. And we also help you answer those questions that you've always had in your mind about certain issues when it comes to getting married. So today we actually have a very important discussion that we're going to be having, but I want to say a very big thank you to our sponsors throughout the family month right here at Citi, GTP and Dano Milk. Let's take a quick break and I'll be introducing my guest and we will dive into the discussion. We'll be right back. Welcome back. It's Before You Say I Do series. Well, love is in the air when two hearts come together. But what happens when this love comes with family packages? Anyway, we're going to be looking at, blending the family when it comes to marriage. Joining me on set today is Reverend Bernie Osei Dior, a counselor and a coach. Hi, Reverend.
Hi, Chris.
It's always nice to have you here.
Always a pleasure to be with you.
Wow. All right, Reverend, let's just get straight into it. Blending the family. It's not easy, right?
Not at all.
But nobody ever tells us that, or nobody ever tells, especially brides to be, that blending families are part of this, and it's not going to be easy. Why?
I think a lot of families do. Unfortunately, today, because of the advent of technology, a lot of us, when we are making decisions to want to get married, we don't get our families involved. Immediately you really get your family involved before you make the decisions. Trust me, they're going to give you a 360 lecture and they give you the third degree because there is a need for them to understand and for you to understand where they are and what you are bringing in.
Right.
So a lot of family have those conversations.
Right.
Unless you are part of a family that is not really
family oriented, or they don't have an influence or a name. See, certain families have built names over years, decades. Some families have institutionalized names in Ghana, in whatever part of the world. For someone to come into that family, it cannot be just anyone. And you can't just wake up and say, I've fallen in love and I'm going to marry in this home. No, they will do a proper background check because they want to find out what they are mingling with. They want to find out what they are bringing into. They want to know what kind of blood they're actually bringing into their family. And these things are not conversations that are very, if you like, pedestrian. Right.
It is very critical for a lot of families. And you don't wake up to make a decision alone that you want to get married.
Oh, wow.
In many of those families, no, you don't. You can't just wake up, I met a girl, or I met this guy.
But in today's world, it seems like a lot of young people are doing that. They even go to the extent of eloping and getting married.
Oh, of course. I mean, it didn't happen just today. In those days, it was there. Today, it's become rampant. But that is why...
Is it a good thing?
It's what?
Is it a good thing?
I'm not sure.
To involve the family.
You're marrying into a family. Why wouldn't you involve the family? You're getting married into... You don't marry in isolation. See, we can decide, okay, we are in love. Let's get to Dubai, do our own thing, send them pictures and say, yay, put it on social media.
Yeah.
We married. Fine. But let me ask you a question. If something happens to that man or that woman, do you think you can bury someone's child by yourself? You don't understand. See, it's not just a decision of how I feel about you. The families are involved. And that is why you cannot make the decision alone.
All right. So how do couples navigate the challenges of blending families, especially for the fact that they might be from different backgrounds, different cultures, different countries and traditions? So now, how do we now navigate that?
Okay. So first steps is the introduction to families. Anytime you've met someone, there are levels of introduction that needs to be happening. You don't just send your family as a text or a call that, hey, I met this guy, I want to bring the person. That is actually the last stage of introduction. The first step of introduction is to provide a bio and information about the person. In our time, and when I say in our time, maybe about 10, 15, 17, 18, 20 years ago.
Are you that old?
Yeah. No, but I've been married for 17 years.
Oh, wow.
Yes. You know, in our time, they will pick the information. And see, even in the days of old, they did it so well. They pick the information about the lady or the guy, and then they start digging.
Yeah.
They start finding things out. There is a whole discussion that the family has. So by the time I come to you and say, I want to now introduce you to my family, they know about you.
They know everything.
They've done the homework. That introduction would never happen if they haven't done the background work. Because see, these families have built names, they've built wealth over generations. You bring in someone in, the person cannot be pedestrian. You can't just walk in and I met Chris on the way,
Yeah.
we met at a funeral, and you know what, I like her, and no, it doesn't. See, the reason why the divorce rates are at what they are is by virtue of the fact that we think that today I can marry just because of how I see this beautiful girl or this nice guy. I think I have met the love of my life, and there is nothing anyone says that you want to hear. When you're at that point, you haven't met life. You haven't seen life yet. So it is very important for people to understand. See, recently, a friend of mine, was sharing a story about an invite he got into a party, an event that was organized by one of those, rich people around town. And when they got there, a couple of the colleagues of this rich man were having conversations about marriage. And this man spoke about his being married for over 3 decades. And when you start listening to what this man is saying about the marriage, the kind of woman that he married, they met for just about 4 or 5 months, they dated, and then they got married. And they've never looked back. See, who you bring home will determine how far you stretch. There are some men that are multipliers. There are some women that are multiplied. They will multiply your life. So when you bring them into your life, it is very important you understand who. Today, a lot of people are moving by virtue of the fact that the lady is curvaceous, she's got beautiful boobs and this and that.
Money, she's got money.
Do you understand? And
she's educated,
that's it.
Do
you understand? But it's beyond that. So a lot of us are getting married out of excitement. But you see, you never really have gotten to know your partner until you've come to the point of maturity. This is why the families are involved. And your mother, your father, your uncles will be asking questions. Who is this person? What do they do? When they ask those questions, it's not because they hate you, but they really want to understand who are you bringing into our home. Today, there are a lot of rich families that will never allow their wards to get married to a poor person.
Yes.
It's not because they are discriminating. It's not, whatever definition you give to it. But the reality of it is that they understand what it means to bring someone of a different social culture into their culture and the impact it has on them. It is no mistake that the Sapons and the Despites and the rest of them will let their kids get married to specific kids from specific households.
Well, yeah, I get you. I think it's almost the same thing like the Igbo people of Nigeria. That's my people. Igbo people are known for marrying only Igbo people.
Why?
They just want to keep the culture there. They feel like they understand each other. Like, they don't want to have the stress of having to deal with other traditions.
See, this is a very sensitive thing. And I'm in no way encouraging discrimination by virtue of the fact that you have a different culture, of a different, that's not what I mean. People who have married based on some of those things. But I'm trying to ensure the fact that for families to blend, there are factors that are considered. It's not just by the fact that the two of you are in love. There are things they are interested to find out.
Where you're from,
who
your father is.
What name
does the father have?
You respond to.
Is he a criminal?
Exactly.
Do you have criminals in your lineage? Yes, I think we do that.
They will find those things.
All right, so, but now let's talk about one of the things a lot of people deal with: conflicts.
Yep.
Conflicts and misunderstandings when it comes to partners, families, in-laws. How do we deal with that? especially because of people coming from different backgrounds. Mostly it's the women that have to deal with that. It's, you know, it's usually women that you see complain about these issues.
I think it's both ways.
Well, as a woman, I've heard a lot from the women.
Okay.
Yeah.
From where I sit.
Usually my mother-in-law, my sister-in-law, my mother-in-law, my sister-in-law.
Oh, you mean the ones who talk about it?
Yes.
Yes, definitely. You know, I think a lot of the problems are usually caused from that,
Right.
that part of
So
the...
now, how does someone deal with that situation?
The honest truth about it is, or before I answer, can I ask this? Let's, set this in the right premise. Is it before you say I do or after you have done?
You should, there have been instances of before you say I do.
Okay.
Probably, oh, they've introduced you, but the woman still doesn't, there's something about you, she's stressing you, she's expecting you. No, like I've heard some, they are testing you, so you go to the house, they tell you to sweep everything and then do all the dishes, and if you don't do that, this one cannot be a good wife, she's not a wife material. How can she see plates and not wash it? She's seeing me sweeping and she's not helping me. You know, things like that, and issues arise. So how do people deal with that?
Okay. When families do those things, there are instances where it is to malign the person. There are instances where it is to disrespect the person.
Why?
But in some instances, it is really to also test character, how serviceable you are. Sometimes that setup is just to see how much you can be able to humble and really serve that family. See, you are walking into a home that one day that mother who would become your mother-in-law might be at the state where you visit her home and she cannot be hospitable by virtue of maybe something physically wrong health-wise. And can you be able to go beyond the fact that I'm a guest, but this is where I've come to, I should be able to serve? There are many reasons. Of course, there are instances where the family doesn't like you. So they will create whatever situation to let you look bad. But there are people who are so convinced, this is the guy for me, this is the girl for me, and I will do whatever possible to make sure I convince them that I'm the right guy for their daughter or I'm the right lady for their son. So there are instances like that. You might then make a decision either to endure it, to prove to them. But sometimes, some of them stretch it beyond even after you've said you've done. So it becomes a whole battle that you need to fight. Once again, it's a choice you have to make. I would be really looking more into the reaction of my partner to be to those things. That is what would know whether you are protected or you're not. Because if you bring me to your home and your family is, hitting me on every
Doing
side.
all sorts, yeah.
How do you react to it? Do you fight to protect me? If that protection is not there, it's a red flag.
Wow.
Run for your life.
Okay, on that note, let's take a quick break and we will be right back because this is getting hot right here. We'll be back. All right, welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is the Before You Say I Do series. So we've been having a very interesting conversation, about blending the family. How do you handle that? Are you ready to handle that before you say I do? Okay. So, Reverend.
Chris.
We talked about the red flag. When they can't defend you, when the in-laws are doing so many things. Wow.
I mean, yeah, the families can do so many different things. But you, as the partner to be, what you want to see is in the face of danger, would you be there to protect me? Because there are some fights I can fight, but I cannot fight my in-laws to some level. So I expect you to step up so that you can provide that protection. And if it doesn't come and you sit by and watch, it means that if I go into this marriage, your family will do whatever they want to me and I'm alone.
All right. Now, still talking about families, there's this issue that we normally deal with as Africans, and that is dealing with the extended family, especially even before you get married. Maybe both of you are living together, you understand? Because there are certain people that actually live together. So you see the extended family from his side, from your side, everybody visiting, and obviously you can foresee that when we get married, these people are not going to stop coming. In fact, it's their brother house or it's their sister house. They are going to be here always. So how do you set those boundaries before marriage?
The two of you must be able to set those goals right. It is very important. It must not only work for one side. Whatever the rules of engagement are, it must work for all parties. If my family tends to visit more, your family never really comes through, or once in a while, and the rules we are setting is because of what you see from my family, it shouldn't just apply to me, but generic. It becomes something that the entire household. There are families that sit together, so the partners sit together and say, you know what, we need to leave. At least that's what the Bible said.
Right.
You must leave to cleave. If you don't make that transition to leave, trust me, the cleaving becomes difficult. So the level of bonding you need to have in order for you to thrive through life with the different challenges you will face, you would never have it. So constantly there will be things mingling between the two of you, and you wouldn't be able to fight through life together. So that living and cleaving is very critical. Now, for us to achieve that, we should be able to ensure that we are cutting all these, external parties from infiltrating into our home.
Right.
So have those conversations. If it's the in-laws that wants to visit, there must be when they can. Of course, decide birthdays, maybe anniversaries, or whatever it is. Christmas. You don't
Easter.
see, there are people who decide when, who is coming, when who is not coming.
And you have to call.
And you call, and you make those decisions. If you leave it blank, Africans as we are, we want to take advantage.
We have no boundaries.
We don't have. If you give us a break, people take a vacation. So it's very important that you set those boundaries right. And if you don't start with it, trust me, they will take over your home. So have that conversation with your spouse.
Right.
And when you can do that, ensure that both of you work together to ensure it happens.
Right.
And this is what can protect your home.
So what about parenting style? Do you think it's important to discuss parenting style before saying, I do?
Very, very important.
Because, like I said, the whole thing about blending the family, there's also a problem of, we're from different cultures, different traditions, different countries. We do things differently. So we raise kids differently. And your people might be expecting me to raise our kids
in a certain way.
In a certain way, you understand? Even tradition, even religion comes in if we have different religions. So how do we deal with that?
Okay. So once again, that conversation needs to happen. It's very important. I'll give you an example, and this is happening in my life. I'm an Akan, I'm an Achim, my mother is a Ga. So I speak Ga very well. My wife is a Kweu, so also an Akan. So it's English or Chi for us.
Right.
The kids find it easy to learn the Chi. But because we are in Accra, the Ga language is also very interesting.
Right.
They love it when I speak it, especially with my mom. My family, would push that. And they will speak the Ga with them, but they are not getting it. So now I need to have a conversation to say, see, we have made a decision that this is the language we want them to learn.
Yeah.
Now the third language they then learn becomes that.
Yeah.
So give them time to warm into it. Putting the pressure and you are not speaking, it doesn't make them get it. And what you are doing is you're frustrating them for really getting close to you. Because now they see you as someone that they cannot connect with. And those are the conversations that you need to be having. And it could be religious. It could be so many different things. How you intend. So based on your culture and mine, we have different ways of approaching parenting.
Right.
Let's have that discussion. Where do we find the middle ground? When it comes to education, when it comes to even what kind of activities they can be involved in. If you're not having these conversations, it will frustrate you in the marriage. And if you're not careful, the peace you need to build your home will never be there.
Right. Okay, so another instance that I've seen when it comes to people getting married, two people might love each other.
Yep.
But one person wants a family. When I say wants a family, wants children, and the other doesn't want children. What happens in that situation?
Communication.
Yeah.
Discuss. I've counseled people, the guy wants 6 minimum, but he would have loved to get 8. The girl wants just 2.
Wait, sorry, is this real?
Real. Oh, but it's counseling.
In this economy?
In whose economy?
Oh my
No,
God.
people have their personal economies.
Oh wow.
Your national economy means it doesn't do anything for
Yeah.
them. So they have personal economy. See, when the dollar was 3, there are people who couldn't buy food.
Right.
Today, they are buying 3 cars.
Well, that's true.
So people's personal economy can kick differently. So yes, he wants 8, the lady wants 2. It comes up as an issue. So now we need to get to the table. Something needs to give. This is why compromise becomes very critical. Now, this guy is saying that I'm the only child or we're just 2. I want a family. I want to have that around me. The lady said, well, we're just 2. I like it that way. I want to have 2. So the guy then comes and says, fine, you can have your 2. But I want you to understand, if we cannot agree to at least meet ourselves halfway, I'll have a family elsewhere. What will be your next move?
Wow. 4.
This is
If
what
I love
compromise.
you that much, probably I'll just say,
Yeah.
okay, let's do it again.
But the lady was also thinking about her career, her body.
Or maybe I'll think, I'll pray so hard that the 2 will be twins.
Well, God help you.
God help me. But yeah, you know, I understand women when they say that.
Yep.
Because it really, childbirth really takes a toll on the woman, changes her
Seriously.
body and all that. So I think even with the issue of compromise, don't you think also men need to understand this?
The understanding is why we're having the discussion that I'm ready to move from the 8. Where are you also ready to move from? Because having a family is about that. Chris, someone shared a story. I'm sorry, I know we don't have much time. Someone shared a story about them going to their grandmother's, birthday party at the age
Right.
of 80. And in the room, in that house, about 72 people came from that woman. So 6 children, then all the grandchildren and
Grandkids,
great-grandchildren
great-grand and all that.
are all in the room.
Wow.
And this woman was sitting in a chair feeling fulfilled in life.
Yeah.
At that point, nobody is interested in what career you chose,
True.
where you banked, which countries you traveled to. See, a lot of things that sometimes our wives, our women, our sisters must also be able to understand is that it gets to a point in life, these trips you're taking will mean nothing. These steps you're taking and all that will mean nothing. What will let you look fulfilled in life is sitting back and watching your children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren play around you. And those are the things that brings fulfillment.
Right.
So you need to be able to manage where and what you want. Then you can be able to make those decisions.
Right. So it's about your fulfillment. And well, like we said, people are different. They come from different backgrounds. So in the case where the woman says, you know what, I'm not going to have a child at all, would you advise the man to not go on
Trust
with
me,
the marriage?
that man doesn't need my advice.
Okay, he just knows what to do.
He knows what he needs
He
to
knows
do.
what he needs
Because
to do.
even if I advise him, it will be useless. He knows what he wants to do.
Right.
He knows what he wants.
He wants
and he knows he
kids,
can
yeah.
take care of them. He wants kids. If you're not prepared to give them, he will have it elsewhere. And when he does, you must understand you open the door for
it.
that. And you must be ready for everything else that comes along with it.
All right. So what about the scenario where 2 people are dating and the man invests a lot in this woman, and then his family comes tomorrow and say, you know what, you can't marry this woman? What happens?
So it defeats where we started from. That
Yes.
you need to have some conversations before you start making those investments. See, a lot of the headaches we find today we can actually avoid if we understand how this works. Before you start, there are many people commit suicide, they kill themselves, they jump off the 4th floor by virtue of the fact that they have invested in someone's daughter
A lot.
who later discovered herself. See, this is why I don't even agree to marrying very early.
Right.
Because you've never attained maturity. You don't even know yourself. You have no idea who you are. You haven't discovered yourself. By the time, see, I've met people who get married 20-something, which is cool. But by the time they are 35 and 40, they come to the place of maturity. They now understand themselves. Suddenly, they have certain expectations of their spouse,
Right.
which is not there. And
Yeah.
they start making, that registry that, I'm in the wrong place.
Right. They want different
They
things.
want different things.
They start developing.
Thank you.
Career-wise.
Thank you.
I get it.
And when you are at that point, trust me, there is nothing that happens unless this man or this woman develops along with you. If not, it's a conversation for another day.
Thank you so much, Reverend Bernie Oseidua. It's always nice having you here. This was an interesting conversation. We can go on and on and on, but because of time, we have to end. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, so we've been speaking about family ties, and as you all know, it's been a very, very, very deep conversation with Reverend. But Reverend, if people want to reach out to you, how can they reach out to you?
My WhatsApp 0500 200 944, 0500 200 944. Also on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. You can find me as Bernie Oseidua, even on what do we call it, TikTok. Right. A lot of my messages and videos are there you can look at.
Thank you so much. And a very big thank you to our sponsors, Dano Milk and GTP. So this has been Before You Say I Do series. My name is Chris Carter, and see you on the next episode.